Beyond operational excellence, women at SMART are passionate advocates for accessibility and environmental stewardship. They spearhead initiatives ensuring that public transit is not a privilege, but a right accessible to all. In celebration of Women's History Month, Detroit is Different will introduce you to some of the women steering a new course in public transit. Hello everybody, my name is BEvlove and we're here with Detroit is Different for the Women's History Month, Women in Transit with SMART. Today we have a very special guest.
Thank you, Bev. My name is Tiffany Gunter. I am the Deputy General Manager and Chief Operating Officer for SMART Transportation. My job is to day-to-day ensure that we meet the promise of our schedule, and that is to be on time for those that rely on us to get to wherever they wish to go, whether it be school, work, a doctor's appointment, or just simply for leisure. And that encompasses understanding the administrative side as well as the operational environment that we have and really working to achieve excellence in everything that we do.
Can you tell us a little bit about your journey in your career? Like, what did you do?
I did not take a traditional route into the role that I'm in now. I started in business, actually, and worked for both retail and automotive for quite a few years before I sort of did a reset and entered into public service, which was now over 20 years ago, which still I cannot believe how the time has flown. I started working at the Metropolitan Planning Organization, and when I started there, I said, well, you know, I was a little arrogant. I was young. I said, what's the hardest thing you had to do here? Because I thought I was brilliant.
Yeah.
And they said, public transit, and laughed. And I said, okay, I'll take it. And from that point on, it has just been a journey in understanding and building connections where disconnects existed before. And I have enjoyed this journey. And truly, it went from being a transportation planner to a project manager, and then the RTA being formed and having some role in making sure that that was done with the sufficient funding it needed. And then I became the Chief Operating Officer at the RTA.
Wow.
Worked with the ballot initiative in 2016 that was not successful. Took a break from public transit. Actually did some work in city management in the city of Birmingham in Oakland County for a while. I was their parking director, and if you spent any time in Birmingham, you know that job was not for the faint of heart. I did that for a couple.
There's nowhere to park out there.
I know, and it's still not great, but it is better. Trust me when I tell you in terms of infrastructure. And that was really where I found my niche, and that was looking at these old municipal parking structures that truly needed structural improvement and really making that my focus. While I was there, a few things happened. We could talk about it later in the interview that taught me the significance of paying attention to structure and how important it is to make sure that the public is safe. So worked there for a couple of years. The pandemic occurred, and I became a stay-at-home pod teacher mom during the pandemic for a little while, and that was one of the most fun jobs I ever had. I had about 4 kids that would come to my house during the course of the pandemic that did their virtual learning with me, and they were all my son's friends. And I got called back into service and came back and worked at SimCog for a while, and then have journeyed back to SMART.
Do you see that maybe in the future that people will get more on board with having more public transit and maybe another initiative like you said in 2016?
Absolutely. So what has occurred, there's sort of been a shift in mobility and the way we think about it over time is Southeast Michigan is polycentric, which means we have a lot of city centers throughout the region. A lot of places that have those traditional legacy systems have a major downtown and then suburbs. So when you look at how mobility is planned for, it's always sort of forward facing to the downtown. But that's not how we move, especially as we've emerged from the pandemic. People are working from home, times of day that you work, you don't work every day. Our commuting patterns have changed drastically. And so what we're doing right now at SMART is really studying those movements so that we can adapt our service. If you don't adapt, you die, right? And so we want to make sure that what we deliver to people is actually what they want.
Right.
And so we have introduced some pilot zones. Some of the mobility transition is microtransit. Folks stay within about 10 miles of their home for most of their daily needs, except for to go to work oftentimes. And so really what we're focused on is making a service delivery model that is relevant and really demanded by the public. So we're meeting a need that is truly out there.
And do you have any advice for women who are considering a career in transit?
Absolutely, yes. It is a yes, do it.
Okay.
One of the things about this industry, and we just came back from a transit CEOs conference. Mr. Farrell is my general manager, and when I tell you what I do enjoy about working for him is he believes in equal opportunity, reward, and letting you know that you ain't doing your job right.
Oh, I like
it
that.
Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to tell you the truth and mentor you and grow you. And I think nationwide, he has a reputation for that. At this conference, what I recognized when I stood up and looked around that room, so let's bring it full circle, 47% of the individuals in that room were women.
Wow.
Transit is an industry where women have opportunity to grow. Now, I'm not going to say that it's perfect.
Okay.
There are still limitations. You know, I'm hanging around mechanics sometimes that look at me like, nah, sis.
She don't know what she's talking about.
My daddy made me change the oil in my first car because he said, you're not taking anywhere till you understand something about how it functions. And so I do have a little bit of a different approach to things. But if you understand that being open to learning and always taking the opportunity to say, I don't know, but I will know, is what will help you to grow. And every woman in that room at that CEO's conference that know that I am sort of newer to my capacity at this space, in the operation space, they wrap their arms around me and say, whatever you need, you give me a call. And so that's the place where when you do get there, just remember, when new people come on, having that just said to me, whether I tap into it today or 2 years from now, knowing it exists is further confidence. So I would encourage any woman that's in a role where they can influence, whether you're just a supervisor or a CEO, make sure you take the opportunity to extend that olive branch to others. Even for those that don't agree or think that public transit needs to be funded differently or give us a hard time, what I will say we can all agree on is that we all rely on somebody in some way that uses public transportation, whether they clean the mall, whether they're taking care of someone in a nursing home or a caregiver. In some way, we all are reliant on somebody who uses
so
public
you should care about public transportation even if you don't use it.
10,000 times over. And that is the message that we want to express to folks. This is important, from economic development, personal growth, independence, and access. What else is there? Every single industry in this region has said, if I put this business up, if I put this manufacturing facility up, will you bring people to it? Because if we don't, just like if we don't have workers, they don't have workers, they don't have a business. So the job and the significance of what we do, I don't think it's stated clearly enough for enough people. So I thank you so much for having this conversation with us. The more that folks understand that, the more that they participate in that public engagement and let us know what it is they'd like to see happen.
Okay, well, Tiffany, you have just been such an inspiration to me today, especially what you said about, don't dim your light.
Yes.
I mean, that is just, you hear that when you're younger, but you get into spaces, especially, we grow older, we move into career in the public space, and you just feel like, oh, maybe it would be easier for me if I just went with the flow. And you could be the flow, you could be water, but if it don't work, just change your path. So thank you so much for telling me that today. I needed that, and I hope y'all take that with you. Thank you so much. This is Detroit is Different with Tiffany Gunter, and we will see y'all soon.
Thank you.
Happy Women's History Month.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.